Hello, everyone, and welcome to your video presentation on Networking 101. Before we dive into the topic today, I just wanted to give you an overview of our team here in the Career Development Center. So this is our team here on the page. As you can see, two of us are here present today, presenting to you. But if you ever have questions, you're always welcome to reach out to our office at careerdevelopment@mica.edu. So today we're going to talk about networking. And before we do that, it's really important for us to discuss sort of our approach to career development so that you have a good working understanding of what services our office offers that you can take advantage of. So at MICA and in the Career Development Office specifically, we believe in empowering students to forge creative, purposeful lives and careers in a diverse and changing world. Through research, innovation, and collaborative support, the Joseph Meyerhoff Center for Career Development empowers and educates MICA students and alumni to create purposeful and sustainable careers. So those are all really wonderful words, but what does that look like in practicality? In our office, we really focus on individualized career support. So we conduct one-on-one meetings with both students and alumni. That's something really important to remember. Your affiliation and relationship with our office does not end when you graduate. We're here for you through all stages of your career. Those appointments, those one-on-one appointments can be as concrete as needing someone to look over your professional package to something far more abstract, like not knowing the kind of direction you want to take your career in. Either way, we're going to be here to support you. We take appointments year round, and we're really looking forward to connecting with you. So the two people that you have on the call or on our video today are myself. My name is Ingrid Pine. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Assistant Director of Career Advising here at the Joseph Meyerhoff Center for Career Development. And right next to me is Lena Huey, also uses she, her pronouns, and is the other Assistant Director of Career Advising here at the Joseph Meyerhoff Center for Career Development. If you ever want to meet with us, you can scan the QR code down below, or you can visit calendly.com/MICACD to make an appointment with either of us. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Lena.
So relationship building is really the foundation of our futures, right? So we want to be enthusiastic about any opportunity to share our work and learn from others, and just understand that each experience that we have to practice our communication skills will only improve over time. So the more practice you get, the better and more natural it feels over time. So to make a great first impression, we want to introduce ourselves using clear and concise key points, kind of like making an elevator pitch, and using multiple approaches to reach an audience. So it's important to know your value and what expertise you bring to any space that you enter. So building confidence doesn't happen overnight. It's something that happens with practice, and fear will always be there. So just leaning on your passion and creativity to move your vision forward. These tips can assist you in engaging in networking opportunities. So the first step is reviewing the opportunity. So, what is a networking opportunity? There are many examples listed here. It can be an in-person event or meetup, perhaps an exhibition opening, a community building opportunity, potentially a conference or presentation, portfolio reviews, or et cetera, et cetera. Clarifying your networking strategy. So each person's networking strategy is going to be unique to their own needs, right? So which industry insights are you bringing to the conversation? So who do you need to connect with in order to move your work forward? Identifying which opportunities will impact your work and how, and what are you positioning yourself for and why? Know yourself. Consider what is relevant about you. Be comfortable with sharing your skills and abilities with others and speaking about them with confidence. So don't just assume that people will know what it is you do because you introduce yourself as an artist. You've got to use descriptive language and describing and sharing what it is that your practice is. So, what are your skills, your interests, your work? What makes it unique? What's your background and education, experience, and shared connections that you might have with the person you're engaging with? Knowing who you're meeting. So research the organization ahead of time, understand their mission and values, and clarify whether they're aligned with your own. Um, understand their work and projects and opportunities that they might have posted so you can speak to those in a conversation. Who are the other creatives there? And are there any MICA alumni present? Research the person that you're meeting with. You can look for them on LinkedIn, on their personal website, on Instagram or social media, and there should be plenty of information for you to engage with them in conversation.
So, when we're talking about introducing ourselves and our work, it's really important, as Lena talked about a little bit before, of really clarifying and knowing what you bring to the table in order to make sure that you're able to introduce yourself and your work in a way that's both professional and authentic. So typically, when we are in a networking event or in any space where networking is taking place, it's really easy to come up with essentially an elevator pitch to kind of explain who you are and what you do and what makes you stand out and unique. So you want to introduce yourself briefly, name, where you live, and either your program of study or what you have your degree in, depending on where you are and what stage of your career. A brief summary of your bio, and who you are as a creative, what makes your work or skill set unique. So, for example, if I'm introducing myself in a space where I might not know everyone and there are opportunities for networking, I would say, "Hi, my name is Ingrid Pine. I'm the assistant director at the Joseph Meyerhoff Center for Career Development in Baltimore, Maryland. My work largely revolves around helping students and alumni find opportunities that align with their creative practices." So it's a really simple way of me explaining kind of the key points about who I am and what I do. So for another example, if you were at a networking event, you could say, "Hey, I'm Alex. It's so nice to meet you. I'm part of the MPS program in UX design at MICA. I'm actually going to be applying for the digital strategist role at FastSpot. Do you work closely with that UX team?" This would be for a very specific setup where you know that someone works at FastSpot, where you're connecting with them maybe face to face in person for the first time, and trying to ascertain if they are connected to the kind of work that you're hoping to do. The other thing that's really important about networking is that we want to really go into it thinking about it as authentic relationship building. I actually don't love the term networking because sometimes I think it reads as a little transactional, and I really like to think about how I engage with other humans on a human level in relationships. So, just like any relationship, you want to lead with curiosity. You want to find out more about that person. So, you want to have questions for them about maybe who they are, maybe what it is that they do, maybe what their role is within a specific company. So, below we have a couple of questions that you might find really useful. And if you're in a space where they are doing something like portfolio reviews, you can really ask for real-time feedback that could be very useful to you in kind of identifying places where you might need to build your work up in order to kind of get the spot that you're hoping for. And when you have a meeting with someone, whether it's a portfolio review, whether it's an informational interview, it's really important to be respectful of other people's time. So when we talk about how to use your time in a 20-minute meeting, you want to leave about 5 minutes for introductions. You want to leave about 15 minutes for dialogue, for questions back and forth, or for a portfolio share, depending on what type of meeting it is. And then you want to leave about 5 minutes at the end for questions, next steps, and how to follow up. One thing that I always make sure that, or that we both make sure that everyone always asks is try to figure out what their communication preference is. Some people love emails, some people love talking on the phone, some people are strictly text, right? So just asking like, hey, I'd love to keep in touch. Is there a way you would prefer that I reach out to you in future? Is a really great step towards making sure that you can ensure that you continue to grow and develop that relationship. It's always important to send a thank you, especially if you've done a portfolio review or someone has been gracious enough to grant you with time for an informational interview. Taking a couple minutes out of your day to send a sincere and thoughtful thank you note can really help you stand out amongst a sea of other candidates or a sea of other people that they may have met that day. Other things to consider are that typically when we talk about networking, we don't want to think of it as a one and done conversation. We want to try and create ways and pathways to stay in touch with someone. So that could look like if you had an informational interview with someone at a company that you're really interested in, you could follow up with them maybe 1 to 2 weeks later saying, hey, thank you so much for taking your time again. I've been working on some of your suggestions that you gave me on my portfolio. I'd love for you to take another look at it. Or, hey, I just saw this ad campaign and it completely reminded me about our conversation around graphic design, and the current state of graphic design right now. And I thought I'd share it with you. So there's lots of different ways that you can make sure that you're able to stay in touch and continue the conversation with someone that you've connected with.
So outreach to create opportunities. Some examples of tools to build relationships with your audience or potential clients and collaborators could be your website, your LinkedIn profile, a PDF portfolio, utilizing business cards and postcards. Social media presence is really important, publications, mailing lists, conducting studio visits and inviting folks into your space, whether that's virtually or in person, and media reels. So LinkedIn is a really great tool that we use for the job search. So you can go there to check out some of our alumni and just to check out what's out there in the field. So we also have a great LinkedIn guide that you can use to set up your profile and find other MICA alumni. Informational interviews are great ways to gain firsthand insight from an expert in the field. So, whether that's a mentor or a former faculty member or even a peer, you can engage with someone one-on-one to learn more about what's happening and what their reflections are. So, it's a great way to practice your speaking skills, to learn about the industry and to consider where you might fit in. So we've put together some questions to consider. Considering like things like what are your responsibilities as in this role? How did you get started and develop your career? How is your staff organized? Those are some great examples here to explore in a conversation. MICA Network is a great tool that we use to connect students and alumni to employers in the creative field. So if you are graduating, you want to make sure to register utilizing this alumni registration form here so that you're input into the system as an so our Netiquette guide really has some great tips on how to build your online presence. So whether that's emailing someone whose work you admire, who you want to approach, or considering other ways of networking, it's a really great tool to look at as often as you need to. You can return to it just to get a refresh anytime. So some do's and don'ts and best practices for engaging online is to keep your profile up to date, to only post your best work, filter what you say online, to retweet and reshare work that you really admire. People always love getting shout outs. And, direct messaging is a great way to introduce yourself, but ensure that you're following netiquette guidelines with that. Yeah, different folks are interested in different ways of communicating. So just be mindful of that. Some examples of don'ts. Don't forget to add your website to your online profiles. It's a common mistake, but yes, it is a wonderful thing to keep in mind. Don't forget to use spell check, and you might want to get a second set of eyes on your work before, even if it's as simple as a DM, just before sending that out, just to feel confident. And don't share too much personal information online. And yeah, just ensuring that you're being sensitive to the audience that you're sharing with.
So when we're talking about sharing online on different platforms, we understand that it can be overwhelming. There are tons of social media platforms out there right now, various ways to communicate, various ways to kind of connect with people. So really do your research and choose the platforms that feel the most relevant and authentic to you. Think about the kinds of themes that you're trying to convey and what those different platforms might say in regards to that. How do you show you're doing the work? One of the things that we always say, especially when we're talking about, say, like an Instagram or a TikTok, is people love to see process videos. They love to see your work in progress, not just the finished product. People have an innate curiosity about how creatives create. So those are always great ways of sort of boosting your visibility in the algorithm and kind of pushing you higher and higher into more people's onto more people's screens. And just be as authentic as you can be, because that is ultimately what's going to help you connect with the most people and the right people for you, right? So with that, we're finished for today, but we want to thank you all for joining us and for being here. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to careerdevelopment@mica.edu, or like we said before, to make an appointment with either myself or with Lena to talk about anything related to career, whether you want us to do a professional package review of your materials, or if you just have questions about more in-depth questions about, say, networking. We're always happy to meet with you. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.